All right, y'all. So I have made the decision and I'm committing to doing solo casts. So I'm going to be doing about 30-minute solo cast every month, twice a month. And it's really just inspired by the people that want to hear more about my story and my journey and my perspectives and my thought leadership. Also, just to get deeper into my life. And I know I have the blessed opportunity to interview incredible people and hear their stories. And that's why I did How to Battle podcast for, was to give others a platform to share their stories of adversity and overcoming trauma and challenges and battles. And I also want to be able to share about my battles and my adversities and stuff. And I feel through that I can help you more. And so I'm going to be doing 2 podcasts every month where I'll be interviewing more incredible people. And then I'm going to do 2 where I am actually interviewed and actually going to be speaking about my life, giving advice and giving mentorship and guidance and coaching for you. I hope that they can help you in some way. And if there's anything that you want me to talk about, any questions you have about me or my life and my journey, you can email them to me at carlosvasquez@howtobattle.com. I'll definitely add those into the things that are being asked of me and give you responses to those questions. And you can also DM me and stuff like that on Instagram if you want or whatever. And like, you know, it's open door policy over here at How to Battle and with me and my brand. So thank you.
Were you already feeling happy? Did you have moments of happiness, or were you just going through the routine, the habits, and then eventually the feeling of happiness kicked in?
I remember some days I'd be laying in my bunk. I just want to sleep as long as I can to just get through this time, to run, to escape, to live in a dream. Basically, I would have to like actively close my eyes, visualize myself not there. And it was so real. And I would like feel myself like being free and seeing my mom, all these things I would envision. And it would make me so happy that like literally I'd find myself smiling by living in this dream. And then I would connect a prayer to it. I would immediately pray to God that this would happen one day.
Wow.
And then I would open my eyes and I would get up and I'd be like, take a deep breath and just push through it as hard as it was. And I tricked my brain into finding happiness through my dreams, and it wasn't real. But then that's when I realized the power of like manifestation.
So Carlos, in keeping with your podcast episodes, I want to kick off this solo cast with a quote as well. Out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls. The most massive characters are seared with scars. Khalil Gibran. What does this quote mean to you?
Man, I asked somebody that same quote not too long ago, and it means that, for me, it means that it's like forging steel in the fire. You know, it's like, you know, it strengthens it when you put it through extreme temperature, extreme measures, and makes it stronger. And so people that go through things in life have scars and wounds and deep trauma, and they're able to get through that, and they're able to process it healthily and heal from it. It actually becomes a strength. It becomes like an extra like sense of like armor or protection that can help you go out into the world and then be more resilient toward things that are going to come in life and in the world. Because as we all know, things come that are very difficult. And so for me, it means that to embrace and to be okay with the struggles and the scars, knowing that it's going to make you stronger in the long term.
Well, let's delve a little deeper into the scars. So you've been through so much pain in your life, childhood trauma, gang life, prison. Back then, did you even think that you could find happiness? That happiness was a possible state of being for you?
So I know there was moments of happiness that I would experience, but happiness and how I experience it today, no, I didn't even know that existed. It's weird because when I was, once I got into like gang life and drugs and surrounded by just negativity, violence, all that stuff, I kind of lost the memories of my childhood. Like I speak about certain events all the way up from, all the way to age 12, like different events, but it's still very blurry. Like the memory of like happy moments there's not that many. And so when I got into that life of the streets and then eventually prison, I didn't really know what it meant to be happy. It was more of like moments that felt happy, but they were fleeting moments, and they would come and go, and they were so quick, and the rest of your life is just filled with so much negativity and just pain and in suffering that you observe, that it supersedes the happiness that comes in the brief moment. So no, along my journey, I really didn't know what happiness was until like I'm free, and I really like experience life to its fullest, and it just makes me so happy, especially the freedom that comes with my life. That's the thing that makes me the most happiest. And when I'm doing my work, because my work is connected to freedom. But at the end of the day, everything, like my happiness, my love, resides in freedom. And it's like that long lost love that you've always wanted and you could never get. And it was like literally just so far from you, but then you finally connect with it. It's like you just don't ever want to let it go. So as long as I'm free, mentally, spiritually, financially, I know I could do whatever I want, and help whoever I want, and go wherever I want, and eat whatever I want, and wake up when I want, and go to sleep when I want. If I have that, then I'm going to be continuing to experience happiness. And it took me most of my life to get there. Okay.
Was there a specific moment, maybe even in solitary confinement, when you realized you couldn't keep living in pain anymore?
Yeah, I feel that for me, and I've heard about other people that have experienced the same thing, is you get to a point in life where you are in so much pain that it's like you kind of give up, and either you end your life or you go into like a deep state of depression or something to where it's like you're almost like basically dead anyway. You're just living a miserable life. And my pain, and when I went to the hole and I was in there alone, and I'm like, man, look at my life. I had to reflect back and just think like, man, what have I done good in this world? And then it's like, well, I could name all the things I did bad and am continuing to do, and it weighs on you. And then all the people I hurt, because as you get older, you mature, you develop more empathy and compassion, unless you're like a psychopath or something. But I never felt like I was that. I pretended to be in some ways, and I had to become one in moments. But it's a whole nother conversation on tapping into the killer within you. But I had to, and I did. But ultimately, I always felt like I had a heart for people, a good heart. I just was afraid to show it. So for me, and when I was in the hole, and I experienced that deep pain of regret and just not feeling like I had any meaning in the world, feeling like that I was actually causing pain in the world, and hated myself for many reasons. When I was there, I was just like, it really was rock bottom. And from rock bottom, if you could survive it and you can find a little inch of hope or inspiration to push you through it, rock bottom, and you can kind of like, emerge. It's kind of like the seedling that busts through, the ground, and you see a little bit of that like emerge. That's what I experienced in solitary, through my readings and through the chaplain and through all the things I talk about, those people that came into my life. I experienced that little bit of like just hope that there was something else out there, and I clung on to that, and I just worked through it, and I grew. And so that's how I was able to get out of that pain. But literally, when I was at my lowest, if you had a gun in front of me, I would have killed myself. Right? If there was a bridge right there, I would have jumped. If there was a bottle of pills, I would have taken them. That's how broken I was. But it took for me to be in that level of pain and then cut off from all the things that can ease the pain, which would have been suicide, to then have to confront everything. And then all these amazing things happen. A mentor comes into my life. These books come into my life. God comes into my life. And it's like I just sprouted.
Do you think something about this defining moment in solitary confinement led you to your trajectory towards happiness? Was it possibly that you couldn't run away from yourself anymore and you had to face and look inward to reflect and figure out what was going on?
Yeah, I decided to hold myself accountable to everything from that point forward, and to hold myself accountable for everything that I did up to that point, to accept it, that like, okay, I did that, I fucked up, but I'm going to do something different now. It was a personal declaration to myself, and it was like me talking to, and it's funny because in solitary, in prison, even in regular prison, not just solitary, general population, it's like sometimes you become your own best friend, your own worst enemy. You know, you
Yeah.
become all these different personalities that you have conversations with, and people, you'll hear it in the whole and through prison. People talk to themselves. Like
Yeah.
I used to, when I was in general population, and I'd be in the cell. We sometimes, me and my cellie, or if I was by myself, I'd hear my neighbor talking to somebody. I'm like, there's nobody there. It's just him, but he's having a full blown conversation
Wow.
with himself. So that became me, and I do.
Yeah.
I literally was. I still do that to this day, but
Yeah.
not in a crazy way. But I like have those, and so it's so important for us to have these conversations with ourselves. Like, talk to yourself like you're somebody that you actually care about, that you actually love. So I had to like think, okay, if I was another person that I wanted to help, what would I tell them? What would I motivate them to do? How would I push them? So I started to do that in solitary, and, you know, everything from like, get your ass up and work out, get your ass up and read,
Yeah.
get up and don't give up. Like, keep it, you know, stay hopeful, read your books. And so I had to have these conversations with myself, and I was having these conversations to myself, but I would actively try to pretend like it was somebody else, because that helped me to
Interesting.
find meaning.
Yeah.
That it wasn't just me, myself, I was helping. It was the side of me that I wanted to change.
Yeah.
And so that is where everything's emerged. And I just kept doing that for a long time.
So once that shift in solitary confinement began, what helped you start building happiness from the inside out? Like daily habits, gratitude, faith?
Yeah. Like I mentioned in when I speak and in my books, it's just the power of routine is so important. It's really, you know, if you really want to break it down, it's the framework for success. There's many things that have to come with the routine, like discipline, being willing to like miss some days on your routine and bounce back,
Yeah.
which is difficult for many. We hear about the people who, you know, go on a diet and they have one bad day, and then they go down they just get completely thrown off, or they
Yeah.
decide to go to the gym and they miss 2 days and they're like, fuck it, I'm not going to go anymore.
Right.
So that's part of it. There's many things, but routine. Routine came to me through programming and structure, because I was forced to be that way when I walked into prison. You walk into prison, even the correctional guard tells you, get in a program.
Yeah.
Then your cellie tells you, get in a routine. And then you observe it, the people that you look up to, those guys who you're like, okay, that guy, you know, has all this reputation and stuff. What does he do? And I started to observe that. These are the guys who would be getting up early in the morning. They would be meditating, praying, most of them. And then they would be like reading books. And then they would work out. And then they would come out. It was such like it's like almost like an art of just how like disciplined they were in their routine.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, these guys were like very wise, but would also kill somebody in 2 seconds. So there was like, as a young man, you just attracted to that. Like, man, that's a man.
Yeah.
You know, a man that's like intelligent, that's wise, that holds strength, that's respected, but also feared, but also can pull you to the side and in their own unique way speak to your heart in a way. And maybe it's like the first guy who told me, keep your eyes and ears open, mouth shut. You know, and
That's
he told
in your book, right?
Yeah, it's in my book. He told me that in an aggressive way,
Yeah.
but I felt it was coming from a place of caring. And so in like these communities that we come from, what can be perceived if like, damn, that's violence, that's horrible, why would you talk
Yeah.
to somebody like that? That's how we communicate love. When I got put on my gang when I was 14 years old, I got jumped by 4 people.
Wow.
And then afterward, they hugged me and gave me a handshake. And people are like, that's crazy. Like, how does that love? But you feel it. It's hard to explain it.
Was
it's
it like an initiation?
Yeah,
kind
it was
of thing?
initiation.
Yeah.
So that's an initiation into the gang, but it's an initiation into like life, what's
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you're going to get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
But guess what? Like, you know, if you maintain your integrity and get up and keep your head up and you don't curl up in a ball and run away and cry and you
Yeah.
stay strong, you'll make it through, and we'll be here to support you. So these lessons I learned along my journey helped me to become who I am today. I just apply them in a positive way to help people. And so routine was huge for me in solitary. So my routine kept me focused on where I wanted to go and who I wanted to become. And so I'm limited on what I could do, but anything positive that I could do that I learned, I put it in my routine every day, from reading the dictionary, the whole entire dictionary, reading books, working out, meditating, praying. I started to learn about all these different spiritual techniques, breath work. I started to practice that. How can I do anything to help me become a new person?
So as you're developing this routine, I want to delve into this a little more, because I know when I had my low moments in life, I remember a therapist told me, she's like, just smile. Even if you don't feel it, even if the emotion, the feeling is not connected to it, just smile. Keep smiling and the feeling will eventually catch up to that. So like when you're going through this routine, in solitary confinement in particular, when you hit your lowest point, you hit rock bottom, doing this, the exercise, the breath work, the reading the books, were you already feeling happy? Did you have moments of happiness, or were you just going through the routine, the habits, and then eventually the feeling of happiness kicked in?
Yeah. After a while, you know, I'm reminded of Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. And he was talking about being in the concentration camps and the people, observing them, and that they would even find happy moments. And maybe it was because, you know, somebody did something kind to somebody, or or they got food. Maybe they had an extra piece of food. It was like these little things that people found happiness in.
Yeah.
So I felt that. I remember I would have, like, some days I'd be laying in my bunk and it'd be like, man, I don't feel like getting up. It's the same thing. So you would have those moments. Yeah. I was like, man, I don't want to get up in the morning. I'm just like laying there. Like, I just want to sleep as long as I can to just get through this time, to run, to escape, to live in a dream, basically. And I remember, like, I would have to, like, actively close my eyes, just keep my eyes closed and think about, like, visualize myself not there. And it was so real. And I would, like, feel myself, like, being free and seeing my mom and, you know, just being able to, you know, eat something good, like all these things I would envision. And it would make me so happy that, like, literally I'd find myself smiling by living in this dream. And then I would connect a prayer to it. I would immediately pray to God that this would happen one day.
Wow.
And then I would open my eyes and I would get up and I'd be like, take a deep breath and just push through it as hard as it was. And I would experience those moments of happiness. And so I tricked my brain into finding happiness through my dreams, and it wasn't real.
Yeah.
But then that's when I realized the power of, like, manifestation and visualization, because I realized that if I can trick my brain into being convinced that this is real, right?
This is your reality.
Yeah, this is my reality.
Yeah.
It can put me in a happy state, right?
That's powerful.
And so when I got out, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I used to get fresh out, do the same thing. And, like, all these things have manifested in my life through that, because I've tricked my brain into believing that I already lived it and I've experienced it. And so naturally, when it would pull itself toward me, and then I would find myself there, and I would know how to live in that state. Like, I would know what it meant to, like, be at a really nice restaurant and order. Like, I'd never been there, but my dream I was. So when I got there, my brain remembered, it's like, you've been here before. So then I would be like, I would be able to fit in. And then that opened up doors in my life. Yeah. Right? When people ask me, like, how did you get from $200 4 years ago to, like, now, and, like, you're friends with CEOs and successful people, it's like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't go to Yale and Harvard, and you went to prison for most of your life, and you were in the streets.
Yeah.
It was because of, like, educating myself and just dreaming big and living through those dreams and envisioning and, like, actively saying, like, what would I do? And then picturing it and then my brain convinced myself that I was worthy of that, and I manifested it. And so it's not this woo woo thing. It's like literally survival mentally in prison.
Yeah, yeah.
And I learned through that.
Yeah.
And so, and so like I found happiness in there, even in solitary through moments
Wow.
like that.
Yeah.
And also I would be happy. I swear, I would just like hope, like, and I would pray that somebody would write me a letter, that I would receive a letter. Like I literally would just be like, man. And then you would hear people getting called, like, whatever, you got mail. And then like you see them stop by your door and they pause and you're like getting up to like, go get your mail. And they walk right past. Like, I can't tell you how many times that happened to me. And like that feeling of that goes back to that pain.
Yeah.
But it made me so resilient.
Yeah.
Like
that disappointment and
yeah.
you having to bounce back again.
Yeah. So when I got
Yeah.
mail, and I don't care what it was, like it could have been just mail from, I don't know, somebody that just sent me a card with nothing in it.
Yeah,
It just like that made me happy.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I'm not forgotten.
Yeah. So you would find your moments of happiness in the little things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such little things. Like
Yeah.
the food was a little bit better this day.
Yeah.
So when people talk about like gratitude,
Yeah.
it's like, and they complain about these things in the world that I don't judge. I just sit there and I'm like, man, like,
do you remind yourself
Yeah.
of kind of like what you went through? Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I remind myself, and those that are in prison listening to this, I know you feel me. And never lose that feeling of gratitude for the little things
Yeah.
when you get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much of your happiness today comes from love and from living with purpose and serving others?
Yeah, my happiness, so much of it comes from purpose. Just knowing that I have this calling, that I have this gift, that God's blessed me with this opportunity, that I'm able to help people and impact lives. It's like that makes me so happy because it makes me feel like I'm in harmony with everything. Like it doesn't matter. I don't just clock in, clock out, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like I'm working all the time.
Relentlessly.
Because, yeah,
I know.
relentlessly. Yeah. Because it's like so embedded in me, in my DNA, and and so my relationships, when I find those relationships with those people, whether it's a significant other, whether it's a friend, whatever it is, and it's connected to my purpose in some way, that's the happiest moments for me, when I could be with a person that I really love and care about and appreciate and really admire and want to be around, their energy and just their love. When I have that, plus we're doing the work, plus we're helping people and we're doing good, that's the best thing for me.
Do you think happiness can exist without purpose?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe people can be happy without purpose because, I mean, honestly, don't wait to be happy. Don't wait and say, I'll be happy when I have this, or I'll be happy when I find my meaning or purpose. And no, because some of the happiest moments I had was in prison before I knew what my purpose was. And I know people in prison that used to be extremely happy people.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, man, like how are you so happy? It boils down to just being more present.
Yeah.
And I think that instead of trying to find your purpose and meaning, focus on being more present and being more grateful, because you'll be more happier. And then when you have that energy, you're more likely to find your purpose and your meaning. So it's kind of like people search for the wrong thing first.
Yeah. I think a wise man, Eckhart Tolle, talked about that, being present and finding happiness in the present state.
He did. Yeah. He did. And just me having learned so much from him.
Yeah.
And
he was one of the books you read, right?
Yeah.
In solitary confinement.
Yeah, I read his books. And now very close to getting to, know him personally and working with Eckhart Tolle Foundation. And it's like, understanding the power of presence, just being grateful for this moment.
Yeah.
And and it's hard because we're constantly thinking about the next thing.
Right, the future, right?
Yeah,
We're stuck
or
in
the
the future or
past,
the past.
right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
none of those really exist,
Yeah.
right? It's like the only thing that exists is the now.
right.
And so it's people always talk about it and it's a thing and all this, but if you
Yeah.
truly live that and you
Yeah.
practice that and you get to that state, you will be happy.
Yeah,
And then your scope becomes grander, and then you're more likely to find meaning and
Yeah.
purpose. And so it's like focus on that first,
Yeah.
then the meaning and purpose will come later.
even now with all you've built, how do you protect your happiness from negativity or slipping back into old patterns? Like family members
Yeah.
or negative naysayers, trolls on Instagram. Like how do you protect your bubble of happiness?
Well, I would say that I'm not really actively protecting.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that I'm kind of just embracing everything.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's a part of what needs to happen for me to grow and be better and learn. So I don't put myself in those situations. I avoid them.
Yeah.
So if I meet negative people, or if I know there's negative people in my
Yeah.
life, I avoid them much as I can. But, you know, if they come my way or they call me or they want to talk to me or I find myself there,
Yeah.
then I try to learn from the situation. So, for example, if I want to really see my mother and spend time with her, but let's say everybody else in my family is really negative, am I going to avoid seeing my mother because of them? No. I'm
Yeah.
going to still go see my mother,
Yeah.
and I'm going to enjoy being with her, and I'm going to acknowledge the negativity that's around me.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to be like listening and also connecting and understanding and being empathetic and then being a leader in that situation to try to help shift that negativity.
Yeah.
So, you know, as a real leader, you don't really have the luxury to protect from things like that. You have
From
to,
all things anyway.
yeah, you have
yeah,
to be the one to go in
Yeah.
and try to change it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I try to do as much as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you've given your history and everything that you've gone through, do you ever find yourself going into negative thought patterns ever? And if you do, what do you do to get out of that and snap out of that?
Yeah, all the time. I'm
Yeah.
always having negative thought patterns come into my brain, and that's like that. It's like it's almost like, you know, the devil in a sense. If you want to talk about the devil and the angel on the
Yeah.
shoulder,
Yeah, yeah.
it's there. It's
Yeah.
always, you know, it's entering my mind all
So, I
the
mean,
time.
you're not happy all the time, 24/7?
No, not at all. And
Yeah.
definitely not. And I have
Yeah.
moments, and I struggle in many ways, and I hear that devil sometimes in my
Yeah.
brain telling me things that I can't do, or kind of keep me from doing things that are great, or you know, even trying to convince me that I'm not good enough or worthy of anything, and all these different things. But I've learned to identify that voice and push past it, and I
Yeah.
do that by staying and going back to what we said, just staying to my routine,
Yeah.
sticking to what I know has worked, looking at that life is not really that complicated. It's just about finding what works for you,
Yeah.
and staying disciplined in it, and continuing to push and don't give up. And you will have progress in life, and you will get through those tough moments.
Yeah.
And that no situation, whether it's a death, tragedy, whatever, no situation can really have control over you if you choose to respond to it in a different way, which can be, what did I learn from this?
Yeah. For me personally, when I have negative thought patterns and right away I see it happening, I like to step literally outside of myself and kind of like view myself as a spectator, watching in as a third party. And then it kind of like desensitizes and just detaches myself from what's going on. Do you ever do that?
Yeah, like being a spectator to your thoughts,
Yeah.
and kind of like looking at yourself and reflecting on what you did or what you thought about, or what you did good, so then that way you can do it again. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of my tenets, and that I live by, is to, and people do that in journaling,
Yeah.
you know, and then they go and they're able to actually write that down and then look at it and reflect on it. I do that too, just actively in my brain all the time. I'm always doing that. Look where I went wrong, what mistakes did I make, how can I do better next time? Always doing that.
Yeah.
So that's how I get through that.
So, Carlos, if you had to share your key to happiness today, the things that you truly sustain you, what would they be?
Keys to happiness.
Yeah.
Well, right now at this point in my life,
Yeah.
3 things. 1, be present.
Okay.
That's important, like I mentioned. 2, and we just talked about it, being a spectator to your own thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, so actively looking at, you know, the way you're thinking, the way you're operating, the decisions you've made, the bad, good ones, and then figuring out which ones you could do better next time. So always doing that, observing yourself. And then the last one is, you know, my mission in life, which is help people every chance you get. So anybody can do that. You could be anywhere in the world and do that. You could do all 3 of these things. It doesn't matter what situation you're in. You can be in prison, or you can be, you know, living in a mansion. It doesn't matter. If you want to be happy, try these 3 things.
Well, thank you.